Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to discuss about the basic structure of a C program. So this is the first section for the C program, how to write a program. So here every C program consists of a documentation section. Documentation section means here we give what is the name of a file. Like I am writing a program sample.c. So it means that what is the name of my file? Documentation. This program is relevant to what? Or I am writing a program to find a prime number. So this is, I am writing at the heading, this is my documentation section, title, what I am going to discuss. And always remember, this documentation section can be written with the help of comment statements. So comment statements are of two types here. So single line comment statements or multi-line comment statements. So single line comment statements we write like this, and we write any information which the user can understand related to the program. Or I may use for multi-line comment statements slash star some text followed by star slash to end. See, now I have used here multi-line comment statements. So either you can use single line comment statement at the beginning of the code itself like this, or you can use a multi-line comment statement. These are not executable statements. So these are not executed by the compiler, as these are all comments which gives the title of the program, or to block certain lines of code in your program, we make use of this comment line statements. So then it's not mandatory. You may include, it's an optional, you may include the comment statements in your source code, or you may exclude it. So it is not a mandatory. And next is the header files. So here these header files are called as preprocessor directives. These header files are called as preprocessor directives. So here these preprocessor directives always begins with the symbol hash. Hash include, hash followed by include keyword. Hash include stdio.h. So here we are giving instruction to the compiler that please include, hash include to my source program the header files of stdio.h. Include the object code related to stdio.h. Then only my program can execute with printf and scanf statements. So the functions related to printf and scanf is present in the library file stdio.h. So you include this header file to my source code. Like that you are giving instruction to the compiler. Similarly, we have many header files there, like hash include math.h. Suppose if I use this header file, see, always the header files begins and ends with the angular brackets. So you should write always with the angular brackets like this. So I am including the library file math.h. Suppose if I am using cos angle or sine angles in my program, like sine theta, tan theta, I want to find their values, or I want to find what is a raised to m, m raised to n, like this. So for this kind of operations, I can make use of the math library which is built in. The functions is already built in here. Suppose if I want to know the absolute value, I don't want the negative value. To convert that, again we have abs function. So like that, to use any mathematical functions, we have math library. So you are saying to support such kind of functions which I have used in my program, please you include the object code related to math.h. Like that, the user is giving instruction to the compiler. So always remember, the header files begins and ends with the angular brackets. They are preprocessor hash. Whenever we find the first symbol hash, means these are preprocessor directives for the compiler. These should be pre-processed before the translation of other C language instructions to machine language. Then the next section we have is the function prototypes. So function prototypes means, suppose we want to declare some functions as global. Suppose I have written my program in the form of a modules. So whenever modules or subprograms, I am dividing my program into submodules or subprograms. Larger program can be divided into smaller programs called as modules or subprograms. So some of the modules might be made as a global. Global means every function need not be declared inside the main function. If the function is declared outside the main function means then we say that it is global. Global means every other function also outside the main function also can access this global functions, or it can be global variables. So here guys, you should remember, whenever we declare any variables inside a function, that variable will be local to that function. It will be, the scope of that variable will be within that function. But once you declare it as a global means, then what happens? Global declare, when you declare it as a global means, then that particular variables has a scope outside the main function also. Any function can access the globally declared variables. So that is called as global declaration section. So we can declare the functions also as globally, or you can declare the variables also as a global, so that the functions and the global variables can be accessed by any function in the program. So since the program is divided into sub-programs, any function can access the function as well as the global variables. So that is about the function prototypes and global variables. And next we have something called as main. See guys, this is very important in every program. The actual execution of the program begins from the main section. So here every main function, if whenever we are writing main, it's a keyword actually. So whenever we are writing main, we should write one open parenthesis followed by close parenthesis. So the start of the program execution, it indicates the start of the program execution. So the main also includes what? It main function, every function should begin with a flower bracket. Okay, and every main function is associated with something called as declaration statements and executable statements, that is declaration part and execution part. So every main function, so you have to, any variables you are declaring like int a comma b, float c. Okay, then what I'll do, float c, if I write like this means I am declaring some variables. I am saying to the compiler these two variables a and b are of integer data type and c is of floating data type. So here reserve 2 bytes of memory for these two variables and reserve 4 bytes of memory for the variable c. Like that you're declaring the variables. Or if any executable statements are there in your source code, like c equal to a plus b. So this is an executable statement. C is equal to what? A plus B. Assume that if A equal to 10 and B equal to 20, then C equal to what? C equal to 30. Then if C is equal to 30, when it finds that result, I want to print that result. Now how do I print? I make use of some statements called as printf statements, which is similar to an echo statement. Now I'll write here printf, print the result C. So result is equal to percentage C. So since it is of floating data type, I will write result is equal to percentage F. So return the value of C. Suppose if I give like this, what happens? So these statements are called as what? Executable statements. C equal to A plus B, and this print statement whatever I have given, they are called as executable statements. So depending on the source code, every main function will be having some declaration statement, execution statement, followed by return statements. So every function has again a return statement. So the return statement is mainly used to return the control back from the main program to the operating system. To terminate your program and give the control to the operating system, we make use of something called as return. So always we have to use the statement at the end of the program before closing the main bracket. So you have opened the function with the open bracket, you have to close with the following flower bracket. Okay guys, so every function is having a main function. Every program execution begins with a main function, and then it might be followed by sub-programs. Suppose you are writing a program using modules or sub-programs. Then what are the sub-program section? After the main function only you have to write the sub-programs. how many functions you're writing, function 1 or function 2, function 3 and so on. So each and every function, main is also a function. The syntax to be followed is every function begins with the what? Function name. It or every function begins with return. First is the data type. So every function has a function name. First is data type. Then you should include the function name. Then the arguments you're passing, followed by open bracket and close bracket. And every function is associated with what? Declaration statements, executable statements and return statement. So this is the logic we should always follow. Suppose we are writing the program in the form of a functions. There is no limit on how many functions you should write for a program. So depending on the task or the job you're performing, you may include as many functions you want. So I think you have understood this. Today's section we discussed about the basic structure of a C program. Hope you have understood. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment. Thank you.